Oh there. Yeah, it's the day after. Yesterday was kind of fun, so we're going to talk about it today. You tell them what happened yesterday, in case they don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal in my Dungeons and Dragons career, as it were.
Hmm?
I DM'd my first game.
And where did they miss it?
Where did they miss it?
Yeah.
At twitch.tv/Dungeons and Dopes at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific and 6 o'clock p.m. Central.
Yeah.
In case you want to watch it.
I'm JD. This is Ryan. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about your first time DMing in, if you ever have,
And
years
ever,
and years and years.
actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about it. What would you expect? How did it go? Expectations versus what actually happened and the reality of it?
Honestly, I feel like it kind of turned out the way that I expected it. I know I had over prepped and got some stuff kind of like pre-ready and situated before the game started. There was a couple things that got missed because the players didn't go into those areas. Excuse me. But the stuff that was missed wasn't really kind of essential. I had kind of like some things that I wanted to kind of like make happen, I guess you could say.
Time crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of like, as we would say, wrap it up, tie the bow on it, and put it under the tree. I did have fun doing it, man. It was nice being in the chair, the throne, being the overseer, the arbiter, the dungeon master, the game master,
The head of the table.
yeah, the big cheese. It was good stuff. I'm just gonna flat out say, like, I was shitting bricks before the game started, and up to 2 days before,
Yeah.
I felt like I was having panic attacks.
You were interesting to watch because you were kind of a ball of nerves. But I feel like everybody is their first time. I know I wasn't my first time, and like my first 20 times, because I wanted to give my friends a good experience, and they were always my friends. And it was, I was new to it. I was nervous about it. I worried I didn't do a very good job. I worried, hey, I should have made things more clear. This is my fault. This stuff didn't go well. And everybody was always really supportive. I was like, yeah, you did a great job. Yeah. And it's just gradually gotten better over the years.
One thing that I can say that for sure made it a little bit more comfortable, and for anybody that's going to take up the mantle and go for a game on their own,
Do it.
would recommend, first and foremost, but the people you play with, dude.
It makes a huge difference. It matters a lot.
Like we were all joking around, we're all having fun. Since it was very much like a tropey Halloween kind of thing, it wouldn't have been the same if the players weren't like role playing those characters to that cliche.
Yeah, everybody trying to be their trope cliche character archetype really helped play into it and make it seem coherent and make it actually flow better.
100%. And I'm just gonna throw this out there, Sarah, you killed it.
Yeah.
You owned that role through and through, and I was super impressed.
I did my best.
You did okay.
I can only dude bro for so long.
He was the dude bro.
I was the dude bro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that it was hard. It was tiring.
Yeah.
To always being the for lack of a better expression, the asshole and the jerk and the.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, come on, bro, yeah, and just.
So with you putting on that persona, right? Just like really leaning into like the jock character, pretty much like, if I could nail it, was pretty much like the Emilio Estevez of Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
fantastic movie.
That's exactly what it was. So tiring.
Do you ever feel like, man, this kind of sucks because I don't want to be this dick?
There were a couple times where I was sitting there kind of biting my tongue, trying to figure out a way to work it in and come at it from the right angle to stay in character and get this other thing going. And I never figured it out. I eventually just said, okay, well, sure. It's not that I was tired of being there. It's just hard to stay in that character and in that mindset for that long.
Yeah. So is it because, and this is me when I take on like those weird like one-shotty characters where they're very much kind of not Ryan, I guess I would say, to where you're like I'm pretty easygoing, I'm a pretty mellow guy, I get along with everybody, I have fun. So like putting on kind of like this persona, you're kind of like, man, this isn't me. And it's fun to play it, but at the same time, like you're kind of like it's a little too not me.
You are not you. You're me. No shit.
There were parts of it that were me. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like there are different... It's 100% not all, oh, this is a movie person, and I'm just going to imitate that. Because that's... You can tell that it's that.
It's easy to imitate. Yeah, I got you.
There are aspects of it that were me. You know, I used to wear polos and the little shell necklaces, polos, and I broed a lot, and like I was a dude bro in certain aspects, but I wasn't an asshole.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo! And the asshole part of it is what got tiring.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Everybody needs to DM at least once. If you enjoy this hobby and you play for any length of time, I think it's a good experience. I think it opens up your eyes to a lot of stuff that goes on behind the screens and a lot of just the giant beast that is that seat of the table. That being said, let's talk about mistakes. What happened? There's always mistakes. There's always, oh, I should have done this different. No, I should have done that different. Or I wish I'd have done this instead.
I wish I wouldn't have beat my head against the wall prepping so hard.
I got a paper trail to prove it. Check this out.
Take a look at this.
Jesus Christ.
And giving myself anxiety attacks before then. I think I handled things pretty well. There's this one thing that there's a scenario last night where I was trying to get everybody out of it. And because the way I wanted things to work, if something were to happen, it would have basically kind of caved in on like what was going to happen at the end of the story. And I was trying to stop something from happening essentially, or I didn't want it to happen. And it would start going in that direction and then enter the murder hobo essentially. Yeah. And it kind of fell apart. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I guess I can work with it. And then these dudes were some pretty beefy vampires that I didn't want to just kill the party. Yeah. I did kill one of them, though. I did kill one party member.
I mean, I expected to die 8 different times in the whole thing, and every time I would somehow get away, and it's like, I'll die next time. Because, I was the asshole, and the asshole gets killed off pretty early, and I was like, I'm going to play into it. I'm just going to go hard and, put myself at risk. Can fully embody that asshole.
Low key, there's supposed to be werewolves that were going to pop up in... So those eyes that you saw, I flipped it in what we were doing, but those were supposed to be werewolves that we were supposed to run across,
right?
And you were supposed to get mauled by one.
See, I was fine with that. At that point, I was fine with that.
Yeah, but it didn't work out that way.
So knowing on your part, okay, well, in that case, your first experience with players, with the internet and with the forums and Reddit and all that, the players breaking your story in a way. I would definitely use the air quotes on that for sure. I wouldn't say it was broken because I feel like as a player, just watching and seeing the outside in from a player standpoint, and then kind of being in the DM, one thing you got to do straight up from both sides of the table, and I can speak from experience now, you kind of got to learn to adapt. Absolutely.
You got to kind of tweak things on the fly. One thing you and I joked about before we started playing, he's like, oh, you can do this. I was like, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all about the illusion of choice, right? And he's like, good word.
The illusion of choice.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I did tweak some things around, and everything for the most part that kind of happened, like the main big story key points, from the mad scientist, the teacher, the principal, the janitor, and all that stuff. That stuff all worked out. I'm trying to think if anything really kind of fell apart and exploded in my face. I mean, the murder hobo was really the thing that was really interesting to deal with, given the fact that his character was supposed to be this super stoked and just jazzed cheerleader, bringing everybody together. Nah, dude, this guy wanted to kill everybody.
He went Mean Girls.
Yeah, it went Mean Girls. Savage.
And I thought it was awesome, but at the same time, it was an entirely different.
It was hard for me, given the fact that maybe because it was my first campaign, and I'm kind of oh man, guys, try to take it easy on me a little bit. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
So I mean, ultimately, the character ended up getting killed because he bit off more than he could chew.
It was easier if he was dead.
I'm
kidding. I don't do that.
I mean, it would have been, but
it was his decision.
His decisions kind of like brought him into this encounter, and like everybody else was pretty much avoiding it. And I was like, all right, cool, because they were basically gonna give you the keys to the gym, and that whole gym fight would have been started a lot sooner.
Yeah.
But because one of the players attacked him, he got his throat ripped out. And it wasn't like, it was all just some unfortunate dice rolls, because I'm not about to just start off in players like that. And like, I don't know why he didn't, man, but he never used any of those like freebie points that I had given y'all, but he could have got away with it, but he
probably forgot about them. I feel like everybody forgot about them. I was holding on to mine, and then I kind of wish I hadn't used it when I did, but now it's, at the time I thought I needed to use it, and now looking back I'm like, nah, I shouldn't have used it. Because I used it and saved my own skin.
What I did think was really funny though is
and
like
then everybody used it after me. They were
right.
oh, we're gonna use
and
those.
It was like so basically I gave these, like we called them like I called them twist of fate points. And basically what it allowed the players to do is if they wanted to make something kind of like extravagant happen, instead of like rolling the attack or rolling a save, essentially it just kind of happened. And like I think maybe everybody's just kind of like pocketing them for like the big boss fight.
Right.
But
everybody forgot about them.
Yeah, because it was 3 hours in, and I'm like, okay, and then I was like, you guys have those free fate points.
And then Big Bad was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do, and I'm like, I'd like to use my fate point, please.
Yep.
I would like to not die here.
I lost. Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to lose. Let me see the script.
I did think it was super funny because, like, normally, like, I don't know if it was a one shot or because it was getting late in the game or whatever, but like usually like when a player dies in like a session, right? Like it's kind of like this extravagant, like kind of like heartfelt moment.
That's when the session ends.
Yeah. Like this is the journey that you've taken with this player. You've gotten so far and it's your friend at that point. You guys have gone through thick and thin, but like his character died and everybody kind of said, all right, well, whatever.
What's wrong?
Mummy's
Andy.
He's gone.
Where's he gone?
Mummy's dead.
No, he isn't.
He just kind of moved on. I was like, oh,
I mean, it didn't help that he was the mean girl, so.
On Wednesdays, they wear pink.
That's true. He played it really well, man. He played it really well. Everybody played it really well. I feel like I was the one that didn't. I could have stepped it up a little more, but at the same time, I didn't want to push too hard because it was already to the point of I started making myself feel uncomfortable with the levels of asshole that I was. And it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go away from the group and do my own thing for a minute because that's what that character would do. And
I'm pretty sure Sarah legitimately hated that character.
Oh, yeah. And I never play a character like that. Like, I might be self-sure and a little standoffish because of, well, I know about this and whatever. And it's never that way.
One thing that I think that I thought was super rad was seeing is like, I don't know if I would call it meta, but I guess just like being used to like what our reality is and like how things work with in our world. That like they tried using cell phones. I'm like, I mean,
it was supposed to be 80s theme, but we brought in other elements too, and it all kind of meshed together in a weird.
Hey, I worked my way around it, man. I did good.
The way you handled it was great. And 100%, I watched Steven and myself both go, yep, that's the no button. Because it wasn't a hard, no, you can't do that. It was that doesn't work here.
But
you had no signal.
Exactly.
You didn't charge your phone.
Yeah.
There was reasons behind it. So it wasn't just a no. It works well when you do it that way.
It did, and it really kind of fit into the trope too, right?
Yeah. What would you do different?
Not worry as much. Like legit, I wouldn't worry as much. Have more faith in the people. Like that sounds kind of mean, but have more trust, I guess, in kind of like the situation and in the people I'm playing with a little bit. Maybe fine tune like the rules and stuff a little bit more to make them a little more understanding.
There was a little bit of confusion on a couple of little things, but I mean there were little things overall, and it didn't really impact anything.
But I mean, after like honestly, it was like like the first combat encounter kind of
Right.
thing. It was pretty much fun. Ran a little bit late, which was kind of planned given the fact that it was my first one. But I'd do it all over again.
Good.
Yeah.
And that was this time was with no rule system.
No.
It was all just homebrewed off the top.
Yep.
Make your own kind of stats, make your own kind of roll decisions, and how you're going to do it and all
I
that.
cherry picked a couple like that D6 system. That's a real thing. And then just like the roll off, because I didn't want to have to sit here and like, as much as I love playing D&D, I just kind of want to try something fresh.
Yeah, and having to make the numbers where every enemy has a certain AC. It takes you out of the element of, oh well, this is alternate reality of where we are.
Yeah, like
It adds another layer of gamification to it that you don't really need in a one shot a lot of the times.
right. And straight up, the reason why I wanted to do it like that was because I wanted to have kind of like immediate death,
Right.
or immediate success, immediate fail. Hey, kitty. And that's why, and like in a one shot, I feel like, and I'm sure you can run like a traditional like D&D rule set.
You can.
But I feel like it would have made the game a lot longer, and we wouldn't even been able to get as much done as we did last night.
One shots for a D&D 5th edition rule set, for example, or even a 4th edition or a 3rd edition. Typically a lot less combat. It's mostly narrative. Or something like a murder mystery or something like that, where it's 90% of its narrative, and then you have 1 or 2 combats.
I want to play City of Mist so bad.
We'll get there.
Oh God.
Are there any systems besides City of Mist that you would like to use for a one shot, or any systems that you would like to run a game in now that you've sat in that chair before? And
So literally, kind of like that D6 system, from what I was reading when I was looking at it, for the pass fail. Like I got that from City of Mist actually.
the
Like the roll the stat, roll under.
okay, yeah.
At least that's how I interpreted it. So I would definitely I definitely want to play that at some point. The idea of just kind of like having this whole like murder suspense thing kind of set up in like this like fairy tale ish kind of very much that Telltale game, Wolf Among Us. Like that as a tabletop RPG where you're working with your friends and getting to the point to where like this would be like the idealistic scenario. So you have this DM that has like this whole story, right? And has like these legit like little clues that you find throughout, and like even maybe get like physical, like almost set piece kind of things.
Not it.
Hey man, if you're out there, DM me at just Chambo, because I think that would be amazing. Also, I really do want to play brain work with me here.
I want to do some Warhammer.
Yeah,
Some Warhammer Fantasy.
Vampire the Masquerade's another one. That's
Yeah.
what I was trying to think of.
There's a handful that I want to get my hands on and try at some point. I have an actual shopping list on my favorites tab of each one that I want to at some point try, which we will eventually.
I think it's important to try different systems too, man. And like dominantly, like that's what our content has been about, is just like straight D&D. But like for me, honestly, it's all I really have access to. Like everything that we're playing, all of the content that we're producing, this is all comes from us to you.
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that we have is basically from our own collections and stuff like that.
Or
So
free use off the internet that somebody's found and say, hey, use this in your game and stuff.
Yeah,
and this is cool.
And thank you for all that, because
Yes.
we definitely use that stuff.
Battle maps, monsters, story arcs, plot hooks. I've taken and used nearly everything you could think of from other people, and it's amazing that y'all are out there.
Yeah. And if y'all have any suggestions on some games that we should play, dude,
Please.
let us know. That'd be awesome.
Even board games. For now, though, every Sunday at 4 on Twitch, every Wednesday here, as long as we're on time. We'll see y'all in a week.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Getting hot.
It's a little toasty with fire, but I like the fire. It adds a good ambiance to it.